Even if you're just 18, 20, 21, 22, not quite sure what to do, you have to listen to your heart here, I think, more than anything else, because I believe that we are all, irrespective of our social background and so on, we are all final arbiters of our own destiny. And we have to steer that, really. And I think that if you're younger, wouldn't it be lovely for us to go back to our late teens or early 20s now? What would we do differently? But I think it's one of the things would be to make sure that you're not overly influenced by anyone else, whether that's family, partners, academics. You've got to listen to yourself, because I think that finally tells you your compass in life rather than listening to others.
Here we are in our Love Yourself podcast with an amazing and very interesting person, Ali Miles-Jenkins. And she is a transformational coach dedicated to empowering women over 60 to lead vibrant, confident, and successful lives. With a career spanning over 3 decades, Ali has made significant strides in championing the age agenda for women, helping them embrace their potential and redefine social stereotypes. She has such a wonderful bio that we will let her talk about it. But also, she has been championing women over 60. Ali has now shifted her focus towards advocating women over 60, inspiring them to harness their life experiences and skills to embark on new adventures. So let's welcome Ali to the show. Hi, Ali.
Hi, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really pleased to be here.
Oh, it's my honor to have you here. It's really thank you very much for accepting the invitation. And, the first question I usually ask is when you hear allow yourself, what comes to mind?
When I what, sorry?
When you hear the expression allow yourself.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So obviously, in a way, that's a permission-based statement or possibly question if you're fielding it to somebody else. And I think if we put it into the context of being in our 50s, 60s and beyond, it's permission is an absolutely crucial word, because I think it's very, very easy for women after decades of strife, struggles, success, whatever it may be, they sometimes get to this kind of pivotal point in their life and they kind of think, well, what's next? And they can't work out what next is, what it feels like, what it might look like. And so when they start to get a little bit kind of muddled up with all of that, their permission-based kind of part of their brain, I think sometimes goes aside. So it's almost like they're saying, but and if you look at the media and everything, certainly in the UK, this kind of reinforces it, that when you're over 60, you're somehow pushed to the side. Nobody really wants to employ you anymore. You're going to wear frumpy clothes. You're going to be out of date, out of touch with modern day living. There's all these preconceptions. And those preconceptions might come from obviously the press, family, relatives, and maybe even I've spoken to women of our generation who actually get that kind of backlash from their own children, like, oh mum, you're out of touch now, or oh mum, you can't wear that, it's too trendy, and all this sort of thing. And of course, that can very easily affect people's mentalities. Women over 60 start to doubt themselves and they don't feel so brave. They lose the confidence, perhaps, that they've built up over all the decades, and they forget all their successes, their triumphs, all the things that they struggled with and overcome. And they suddenly think, well, what's next? What's left for me? And so they can often feel in a kind of void or vacuum. and they don't really know how to progress from that. Now, obviously, I'm not making a sweeping statement about all women over 60, but certainly many that I've come across in the last, probably, I would say since about 2017, when I changed my business into what I'm doing now. There's been a lot of angst, I think, amongst women over 50, now over 60, which tends to be the generation that I'm focusing on because I'm now over 60. And I think it's very easy for women to feel a lack of appreciation, out of date, out of touch. And I've heard examples of even, as I say, their family members making those sorts of comments, putting them down a bit, not necessarily in a nasty way, deliberately, but they just kind of think, oh, that used to be me, and now it's them.
Yes, I'm also over 60, and but I have clients also that have come to with expressions, as you say, that
Mm-hmm.
like out of touch. Oh, I am downhill. I'm going downhill. Like my
Mm-hmm.
peak is, I already got my peak, and then if I'm going downhill. Even I have a client that the psychologist told her, "Oh, what do you expect? You're downhill now," and
Really? This is the
yes,
psychologist
yeah,
saying
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yes.
And I said, "What do you mean downhill now?" I said, "No, we got to the peak, to the first peak. Let's say that we went to a high mountain, but now we're going to Everest. Maybe we
Yeah.
have a little bit down just to take energy and force to go up again.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the second half of our life. But yes, it's very true that society and also the beliefs also that we are out of touch, that this is not for me. How
Mm-hmm.
do I dare to put a bikini? Or
Mm-hmm.
I cannot dance crazy because that's for young
Mm-hmm.
people. And yes, and one of the main things that you said is the doubt of ourselves, right? The how after 60, all those messages and all those messages within that we grew with, because
Mm-hmm.
we probably saw our moms like that also at that time, that no, it's too late to study a new language. It's too late to start doing something else, and it's too late to reinvent yourself. So, as you said, permission is a key word, right? Like allow yourself to be that girl that were you in your adolescence, that you were in your kids, that we were talking before about that girl at 17 that
Mm-hmm.
forget all the successes and all the so um
Mm-hmm.
what are you giving permission to? What is your main shift? What flipped your mind just to allow yourself and give yourself permission to do
Mm-hmm.
things that you're not allowed to do at this
Mm-hmm.
age?
Mm-hmm. Well, I've got a mantra that's linked to my business and to its business name, and that's sassy, sexy, and successful over 60. And when I came up with that title for this particular business, my husband was saying, well, do you think you should put the sexy bit in? Will that turn people off or get them a bit worried? And I said, well, let's just try it. Let's put it out there as one of the sort of mantras and see whether people like it or not. And so far, no, not one person has said, oh, take the sexy bit out. They actually like the fact that over 60 can mean you still can look sexy. And I think for a lot of women, all those sorts of things, they push it to the side. And I think certainly in the UK, because obviously now I'm becoming much more aware of all of this since switching from the over 50s to the over 60s, so many women, my mum's 94, bless her, and she's amazing. You'd never think she was 94, and she still dresses nicely and everything. But I think a lot of women, when they get to 60 and above, certainly in the UK, they almost start to look like my mum. And that's certainly not what I want to be like. They feel like they feel like a shadow of their former selves, and therefore they can't give themselves permission or dare to, go into that kind of sassy and sexy side of things. And I don't mean sexy by sex, I mean sexy as in feeling attractive and still being able to put on something really nice that you've bought and go out and feel comfortable and take compliments if people say, oh, you look great in that, rather than thinking, oh, I've got to go and dress like my mother who's 94.
Um, you say like your mother, but they call us, okay? If we, you're a grandma.
Mm.
You see, you're a grandma, so how dare you look like that, no? But
Yeah,
we really dress for ourselves, right? This how
yeah.
we see ourselves in the mirror, and
Mm,
one of the my mantras, and let's say the chapter number 11 in my book, Flip It
mm,
Over, it's what is the story you're telling yourself?
mm,
Because everything is like that. Yeah, yes, there is a lot of stimulus out there that make us believe that, but
mm,
what do I believe? What do I allow myself to believe about myself? No, it's my
yeah,
self-esteem, my doubt, my self-image. That what is the story I'm telling myself? Oh yeah, I'm old already. I
yeah.
have to give room. I'm bothering right now. I need to
Mm,
give room to the others, and there is right now in Netflix a little bit of propaganda. The movie Agneta from um, it's very interesting because it's a girl at the age of 49, even much younger, that was fired from her job and she cannot find a job in her town. So she goes to France, to Provence, to take
mm-hmm,
care of an older man, and how she finds herself being away. And but you see there really all the conversations that the society have with us, especially in that movies from the husband. Oh,
mm,
I'm dancing. I'm. How come you're dancing? I hope nobody sees you dancing like that, like
mm,
crazy. Or what about those shoes? How are you wearing high heels? You should wear tennis shoes. Or no, it's dangerous for you because you can fall. All those already embedded beliefs that put it in our head, right? That you are be careful, you can fall, your equilibrium is not your balance is not as good. And you said something like that I like very much: sassy, sexy, and successful. Very nice said. And the sexy part, especially because after 50, but more after 60, then our body starts to be more curvy, let's
mm,
say, and more fatty, let's say, more rounded. So
mm-hmm,
um, it's like, even in the advertisements I see today in Facebook, in the
mm-hmm,
AI, is
mm-hmm.
that's your wife? You can do this and this and this, and to be again very slim and although I think we want each one of the kilos really good in a really good way. So, what do you
Yeah.
think? When can lady, let's call it ladies because we are, it's
Mm,
uh, or a grandma, if you want to put it like that,
yeah.
can do in order to really feel sexy,
Mm-hmm.
sassy, and successful?
Hmm. Okay. Well, there's the three strands to that. So each one, from my perspective, I would have a slightly different strategy about it. I think in terms of feeling sexy and sassy, I think the two things almost go together because you can't really be sexy if you're not sassy, can you?
Yeah,
um,
spicy. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I think it's just giving, it's got to be about permission and it's got to be about you giving that permission. Society can't give you that permission. Your best friend can't, the shops and all the sort of outfitters and everybody, in terms of fashion. No one can actually make you do anything. I think you have to accept how you want to be yourself over 60, and whether you are willing to take sometimes those risks of just stepping past your boundaries a bit to get, if you want to feel more confident, you want people to notice you, you don't want to be the person at a party sitting on a chair in the corner. It's about taking, I think, not necessarily forming a strategy yourself in your head, but just sort of thinking these are things that I would rather become in certain situations. And I'm going to maybe start off by picking one and working on that. So if, for example, you would think, well, I can't possibly wear X thing in my wardrobe anymore because I'm too old. If it still suits you, and if you still can get into it and you love wearing it, don't care what anyone else says. Actually go to the party or the wine tasting or wherever it is and wear that. And I think this way you can start to build more what I call incremental confidence. So you think, oh, I would never normally, I might put trousers on and a jacket, but I've watched this video that says go and actually pick something that you might have worn when you were 10, 15 years younger and see how you feel in it. And then take that plunge, just be a little bit brave and go and wear something that's slightly different and see whether people say, wow, look at you. If it makes you feel uncomfortable, then maybe not do it next time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes it perfectly sense. The
Because I think,
incremental
yeah,
confidence
exactly.
is to be brave, but it's
Yeah.
also, I think it also is how you feel about it, if you really want it, and what you be
Mm,
your attitude for it.
mm,
Because if you come with a nice shirt, very colorful shirt, and people
mm,
say, oh, and you say, you like it, I love it. So people will change the attitude of saying, really? You don't like
yeah,
it? How your
yeah,
response will be if you feel safe and what you think about yourself
mm,
really is what you're transmitting. It's not what you're saying, it's what you're
exactly,
showing, right? If you're
exactly.
with your shoulders back and your chin up and you're really proud of what you're doing, how you're showing up,
Mm,
it makes me, it takes me to a show of the with Simon Cowell in
mm-hmm,
this English girl.
mm,
I don't remember her name, but she became very famous after that.
mm-hmm.
That everybody says, "How come you're coming now at the age of 60 to sing?" And then she sings beautifully. What's
You're
her name?
talking about Susan Boyle.
Yeah, Susan Boyle.
Yeah,
That she then she
amazing. Because
yes,
when
that
she came
she's
on the stage, everyone was laughing because she wasn't dressed in a very attractive way. She was the stereotype of what some people would say, your grandmother, wasn't she? And then she came on stage and everyone was nudging each other in the audience and going, oh, look at her, this is going to be awful. And then she opened her mouth, and that was the most. I can remember that moment. It still sends shivers down you now, doesn't it? When
yeah,
she opened
but
her
her
mouth and was
attitude.
amazing singing.
Yes, her singing, but her attitude when
Yes,
Simon said something,
yeah.
she put her
She did. She went like
arms
this.
in the,
Yeah,
yes, like the like the one Wonder Woman, right? Like this, and then she moves the hips
yes,
like
she
that.
did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
here I am.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, you'll see who I am. That she was proud of herself. She wasn't
Mm,
ashamed of herself. If her
yeah.
attitude would be different, even if she had a beautiful voice, if she would
Mm,
say, "Oh yeah, no," and go like that in body language, putting your shoulders in,
mm,
it would take a completely different reaction of the public.
yeah,
But
exactly.
her says, yes, here I am, you'll see who I am, and that she
Mm,
was proud of herself. So
yeah.
the as you say, the permission to be sassy and
Mm,
sexy is what allows you to be successful and walk in with proud with
yeah.
pride in
Yeah.
in the world, and you say 60, it says downhill. Okay, no, it's not downhill, it's uphill, because
Mm,
one of the questions that I ask my clients that come at that age is, what is your plan for your next 30 years? And they
mm,
say, 30 years. So I said, yeah. You say your mom is 92.
mm,
Today, I plan to live till 100 like I was 20. Okay.
mm,
But when I put in perspective how many years I have to work with, it's not
mm,
5, it's not 10. Let's say 30. I'll be
mm,
in this planet.
mm.
What am I going to do with those 30 years? Am I
Yes, yeah.
taking care of my health? How do I want to look? What I will think
Mm,
about myself? What voices I am going to what toxic voices I'm going to put apart, what
mm,
voices I'm going to let in. So it's like a perspective, right? It's like, wow, we are 60 because we see all the stairway back there that we have
yeah,
already
yeah.
done. And as you said before, we forget. So at the age of 60, most of the women forget all the steps they came
Mm,
up to get to this
mm,
stairway. But
yes.
yeah, it's like we're now in the platform, like, let's see what are the stairways that we're going
Mm-hmm,
now,
mm-hmm.
or how far are we going to go, and how do
Yes,
we want to go
yeah.
up.
Yeah, and I think part of that I've written. Well, I'll show you, but I wrote this a while ago, actually, just at the beginning of the year, and it's called the Reinvention Report. And I put how to become sassy, sexy, and successful after 60. And it's
Oh,
like and I actually put this together as a manual. It's got about 10 little chapters about how to actually reinvent yourself and why it's actually important in some aspects, not to obviously become a completely different person, but in the aspects that you want to work on, it's not actually too difficult to put a little strategy together for yourself and think, actually, I am going to go to that party. I'll give you an example. I About a year and well, it's getting on for a year and a half ago now, I started to promote my Sassy, Sexy and Successful Over 60 program. And the first woman that jumped on the program, and it was a one-to-one, she was a lady of about 65. She'd come from Jamaica many, many years ago to be a nurse. She's single and she wants to stay single. She'd obviously retired from nursing, and she was she had her own house and everything. So she's quite secure, but she didn't really have many friends and she didn't know what to do from one day to another. And so we worked on this program for it was an 8, 9 week program once a week. And it just allowing somebody to have that space, as you say, that headspace, and reflect and actually think, actually, I've got so much more in here that I haven't used, that no one at the moment has ever really seen. And I'm over 60, and there's really, it's not going to be decades and decades ahead. So I've got to get myself out there now. And I was absolutely amazed because she transformed her life. She's been on loads of cruise ships on her own, on holidays. She's been flying all over the world. Yes, she's a single lady and she's obviously got the finances, and not everybody else might have. But she's just everything. Her clothes, we worked on what lipsticks looked better on her, just everything, every little thing, we picked it out that would help her feel better about herself. And do you know what? We have something called age concern here in the UK, and various other similar things for older people. And she rang me up a couple of weeks ago and she said, "You'll never know what's happened, Ali." I said, "What?" She said, "Age concern have asked me to be their keynote speaker." And she was actually there in front of most people in like their late 60s, 70s, and 80s. And she went out there and she really rocked it. She gave this fantastic talk about how she'd managed to transform herself and get rid of that loneliness, and what all these people that were probably in their 70s and 80s could also think about doing. And it was amazing. And she's gone on from strength to strength now, really, as an advocate herself, which is just fantastic. And I think so many women hold themselves back, and they don't see the opportunities, or maybe they've got a household where people maybe put them down a bit. Family can be well-meaning, but sometimes it's not the messaging that you want to hear. Somebody says, "Oh, mum, you're 62 or something. You can't possibly go out and do this." It's very easy sometimes, I think, for people to think, "Well, maybe I shouldn't."
Oh, she's in the third age. No,
Yeah,
She's in the third
exactly.
age. I call it my second adolescence because it's the
Mm,
time when I don't know what to do, where to be, with whom, and
mm,
have some hormone issues. So
mm.
that's the definitions of adolescence, just in the second time, in the
Yeah.
second part of our life. Yeah. And there is a a word that I want to take from what you said is the
Mm,
people after 60, 70, 80 start to feel lonely even if they are
mm,
surrounded by people. Yes,
mm,
because maybe we hold back. I include myself in that. Maybe we hold back sometimes. Maybe we have the routine that we are in charge of cooking and we are the charge
mm,
of cleaning or serving. So it's
mm,
the stereotype that you were talking about, that this is your role and you cannot change your role after 60. How come? What am
mm.
I going to do if you don't cook? Right?
Yeah.
How I'm going to eat if you don't cook? So all those little things that we can allow yourself. You are over 62, so or the kids, you're big
Mm,
enough already so you can cook yourself your meal. Now I'm going to the movies with a friend, or I'm going to the
yeah.
movies by myself, or just to sit on a cafe. How are you going to sit by yourself on a cafe? Yeah,
Mm,
people watching. I like people watching, so yes, I will allow myself to sit. So that loneliness that you said, we that is one of the main
mm,
causes of death today. The
yes.
loneliness, more than heart attacks,
Mm,
according to the statistics. But it's something that you can be surrounded by a lot of people and still feel alone.
mm,
Um, I want to say is that you don't need to be alone to feel alone.
mm,
Lonely, to feel lonely is something that
yeah.
it's from you. Is how can you
Mm,
connect to other things? No, how do you connect
yeah.
out there? How do you want to present connect to yourself first? How
So,
do you want to
yeah.
connect to yourself first in order how am I going to show up? Because
Mm,
what I think about myself is the way I show up, right? What I tell
mm,
about myself. So all
yeah.
those little things that you say is yeah, it's to be brave and to change uh and to overcome the critics,
Mm,
and I call it flip it over, flip the critics
yes.
yourself first. So
Yeah.
like Susan Ball, right? Like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yes, here I am, right? And you're with your posture. And as Mario Alonso Puig from Spain says, um,
Mm-hmm.
just a smile changes the whole thing, because a
Yeah.
smile changes your chemistry in your head. So
Mm,
is really, really giving about allowing yourself to be you and to be happy and to be
mm,
shiny and to be sexy and sassy. And
yeah.
that will bring you're successful, right?
Mm, absolutely. And I think sometimes, if it just reminds me of something, I won't go into all my
Mm-hmm.
background, but um, sometimes if you are now, let's say in your 60s, and you're not in, for example, a happy home environment. I've had quite a few women, get in contact with me and talk about this and say, what should I do? I don't really want to be with my long-term partner, or I don't love my husband anymore. I mean, I'm not here to give any kind of marriage guidance advice or anything like that. And I never give that sort of stuff out to people. But it's just getting them to think, if you really are not happy where you are at the moment, you've only got X number of decades ahead to do something about it. So I think it's also about taking the opportunity, if you really feel it's something that you need to do. And I've got an example of that, a personal example myself, although that was when I was in my very late 40s. My husband, we'd been married for a couple of decades, and he became abusive, physically abusive. And I had to call the police. And after all of that, I had to make a decision. I had three kids, sort of teenage at the time. And I thought this is going to be, rocking the whole household if I do something about it. But I knew that it wasn't something that was tenable. I couldn't carry on with that risk. And so I made a really big life-changing moment, really. And I left that situation and met someone else, and everything's been wonderful since. But I think, there are sometimes things that happen. You've been with somebody for a long time, maybe you've put up with certain behaviors or whatever, and then you get maybe into your late 40s, early 50s or beyond, and some things become untenable, whatever they are. And I think, going back to what we were saying before, we may be living to 70, 80, 90, 100, who knows? But if something doesn't feel right for you and it consistently is like that, then I think that's when you need to make a big, bold step, because as we all know, you only live once. So, yeah, that's one of
It's
the
very
things.
interesting because my story it's kind of parallel to yours.
Mm-hmm.
At the late 40s, early 50s, I
Mm,
divorced also from a abusive man.
mm,
But there are two things that come to mind. Um, One is my youngest daughter telling me,
mm-hmm.
Mom, you know that you can live different. That
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even realize it. My saying at that time was this is what I got and this is what I have to manage.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of is because of the fear, as you say, of rock
Yes.
everything,
Mm-hmm.
and and um, and the second one. Um, that she said is, mom, because we as mothers usually think that it's the best for the kids to be in a family in
Mm,
with mother and father. And what she told me back then, it's much better to be from a family than
mm-hmm.
in an abusive family. It's
Mm,
rather to be from an abusive family than
yeah.
in an abusive
Mm,
family. And it really sticks to me because it's like, yes, we know it's like this, we can live different, but
mm,
we don't have to be in it all the
no.
time. We can take
Yeah.
distance. And one very good friend, male, a male friend, told me,
Mm-hmm.
who are you being loyal to?
Mm-hmm.
Because once you're being loyal to the family, you're
Mm-hmm.
betraying yourself. So
Mm,
that really hit me that I am betraying myself in order to please the others, in order to be loyal to my husband, loyal to my
mm-hmm.
family, loyal to the you get married forever.
Mm,
Uh, so those little things that sometimes people come and what you catch,
mm,
and that's where I hold myself from to it's but the main one is, who are you being loyal to?
yes.
Is uh, why are you betraying yourself?
Mm,
You don't need to suffer in order to please other.
no.
You don't need to sacrifice yourself in order to be
No.
other. And
Mm,
there are some little things that we don't have. We have a lot of time, and we don't know how much time we
mm,
do have
mm,
left. That we need to be kind of loyal to ourselves, right?
mm.
And what do you think?
What about being loyal to yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Well, absolutely, because if you're not loyal to yourself, you're betraying yourself, and that will evoke all sorts of other emotions, either relatively soon or perhaps much further down the line. And I think in something like sort of an ABH situation, where there's been some kind of physical attack or whatever, I remember the police saying to me, do not go back to that man, because so many times people say, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to do it, I'll never do it again. And he said to me, you know what? They nearly always do. So for me, that was irrespective of the fact that it was going to really upset the household. I knew that for myself and, for my kids, really, I needed to do something drastic and leave that situation. Interestingly, now though, I don't really talk about it. Interestingly, the three children now all have a very good relationship with their father.
Okay, but because they saw how brave you were also, right? It
Mm,
takes also, we are also role models, how we behave and what we allow ourselves.
mm,
Is we're teaching others, not only our kids but people around, what you can do, what are, if you allow yourself, you can do your life better, you
mm,
deserve better. um,
mm,
is really interesting, that part, right? That they can relate. Although there are also a lot of men
mm.
that are excellent fathers but terrible partners,
Mm,
you know.
yeah, yeah, I'm sure
uh,
that's true.
yeah,
Yeah.
so they don't need to be in competition with the parents. It's like their competition with the wife, right?
Mm, mm,
Uh, in my case, for example, I can tell you very intimate, here is that my ex-husband um, was how do I put it in English? Um, it was in a relationship of love and hate.
mm-hmm.
Um, he loves the wife, but hates the mother of the kids.
Right. Ah,
So, he when he was with me, by himself, it was perfect. But
mm-hmm.
when I was in the role of the mother, he was terrible. He hated the mother of the kids. It's like
Ah,
it take away the competition, right?
yes,
It's like the attention is to the kids and not to me. Why are
yes,
you watching TV with them and not with me? And you know, uh, and I read
yeah.
about that situation, and it's getting more and more popular, that
Is
they
it? Yeah,
Mhm. that
yeah,
they love the wife when it's by themselves, but
yeah.
hate the role of the mother of the kids, because it's not the whole attention is not to me.
Yeah, so they're jealous.
Is
They're
the
jealous, isn't it?
jealousy.
It's a jealousy thing and an insecurity, isn't it? The
Yes,
two
and
things go
it's
together. Jealous people are often very insecure.
Yes. So a lot of thinking in that stage, although I was much younger. No, I divorced like 15 years ago. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, uh, but there are little things here, as your our conversation, that you say, that those
Mm,
are words that really can go deep. The reinvention report, the
mm,
loneliness, the sassy, the sexy, the feeling out of touch when you really need to be loyal to yourself. And
mm,
if you are okay, and that's one of the things that people told me, that I really learned. If you're okay, everything around you will be okay. If
yeah.
you're not okay,
Mm,
everything is a catastrophe for you also, because your
yeah,
lens is
yeah,
quite dirty, I think.
yeah. Mm. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yes. Yeah.
So tell me, Ali, what would you say to your 17-year-old Ali? What advice can you give her today?
Oh, goodness me. A whole load of things, actually. One would have been not to take so much notice of my parents. So my father was headmaster of a very prestigious boys' school, 1,000 boys. Um, and so I was brought up in, and my mother didn't work. But they were they were great parents. Still got my mum, but not my dad, sadly. But they were quite because they were post-war children themselves, so they were brought up in quite a harsh way. And I determined at quite a young age that I was never going to be that sort of parent. And I can remember my dad saying to me, well, when I had my children, he said, well, you know, it's not about being friends with your children, you're the parent. I said, well, that's not how I see it. I think there can be a blend of this, actually. So I think, you know, something like that is something that I took from my previous life, if you like, that I didn't actually agree with, and I then went off and did my own thing. And actually, I did become not rebellious in a nasty way, but I didn't want to conform in the way that they had both come up through careers and so on. And that's I think partly what formed me later to leave what I did have a very good job at a very early age and then set up my own business. So I've been running my own business since 1990, and I think part of it was a willful, almost sticking your two fingers up at your parents to say, I'm not going to go down this, you know, I went to university, but after that, I wasn't going to do masters and PhDs and all these things. I thought, no, 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 I want to set up my own business. And of course, no one in my family had ever done anything like that. So I think they thought I was slightly mad. And I think they've always had a better relationship with my younger sister, who was much more conformist.
Yeah, it's that's a very good advice. It's like what is your parents is your parents. You don't have to be like that. You it's
Mm,
to honor their destiny, but it's not for me, right? My destiny is another one. Is
mm,
what I'm hearing of what you're saying. Is yes, I honor what you did, and you did what the best you could, but your best is not my best. We are in
exactly.
a different way, in a different
Yeah.
year, in a different situation, and even today for the 60s, because
Mm,
um, I realized my mom was an amazing worker, businesswoman, amazing, but she did had so much that she didn't have ever time for herself.
mm,
Uh, I don't remember her going even to the movies. Uh,
really?
yeah, it was like the business, and she was
Mm,
really a very good businesswoman, and she was the head, let's say, of her business. And then in the
mm,
house, she came and had lunch, and then after lunch, she baked
mhm,
cookies and bread. So we all have in the house everything. And at night when she came, she was in the kitchen doing
mm,
the meat for tomorrow and preparing. So,
yeah.
uh, and when I was in high school, and things that today I regret I didn't really appreciate because
Mm,
I took it for granted. It's like that's her duty. It's
mm,
like going to school and she waking up an hour before me to prepare the lunch and that I had to
mhm,
take and the breakfast and things that we don't see the effort, and we have done that too. So
yeah.
do we see the effort and the all the realization that we have done all over those years with our
Mm,
kids, with ourselves, with a partner, with
mm,
whatever, or we take
mm,
it for granted, or we uh, don't take the value that it really is, just
mm,
just to have the different roles, the 10 or 20 roles that we have during our lives.
mm,
So I would say that to them. I really like that advice that not take so much from your parents. You are
mm,
their destiny and their way to live is theirs, and yours is
yes.
different. But
Mm,
we have embedded so much the things they used to tell us when we were kids that
mm,
there is a way that we follow the pattern. So that's why I take it really nice as an advice to anyone that is listening to us. Just separate what is yours and what is your parents, because
yeah.
you can allow yourself to be more free, to be more yourself,
Mm,
to be brave and dare to do things you really want
mm, yes. Yes, exactly. Without someone, whether it's parents or family member or whoever. You don't want someone sitting on your shoulder all the time, sort of nagging in your ear, do this, do that. You've got to be your own judge and jury, haven't you, of what you do, and whether it works or not should be down to you, not whether someone else should be trying to script something out for your life.
Yeah. You have, Ali, such a powerful body of work. Just tell us a little bit about your book, your
Hmm.
courses, your messages, and how can people find you?
Okay. Well, actually, oh, I've got two of them here. So, so my first book I wrote was when I was still running my management consultancy, which was up until 2017 before I decided to switch into the women over 50. So I have this one, which is New Manager Secrets. But then I got this one published, and this was um, just before COVID, actually. So it was badly timed because just as this was coming out, everything was shutting down. But what we called, so when I was doing my business back from about 2015-16 through to just before COVID, the slogan was boom boss. So a boom boss was a woman who was, the play was on the word boomer, because obviously baby boomers, and also the boss as in running your own business. So this is the book I wrote then, which was Boom Bossing It, Over 50 Not Overlooked.
Mm.
And that's where obviously I talk about some of the story that I related to you about before. So that one, and then
Oh,
the other
that's
one.
what you told about in your TED Talk, right?
Yes, this was
Yes.
also
Hmm.
in my TED talk. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So over 50 not overlooked, how to profit from your decades on the planet, which I think is also quite an important point. So it was about, I had this sort of mantra that you've got as a woman over 50, which was the demographic then, obviously, because it was a few years ago. So I was that bit younger. So it was over 50, not overlooked. And it was about using your, what I called your seek. So it's like a mnemonic. So it was your skills, experience, expertise, and knowledge. So I used the SEEK sort of acronym for that. And I was running workshops all over the UK and running all sorts of online stuff as well to help women work out what their skills, experience, expertise, and knowledge was, and how they could use that as a woman over 50 or even over 60 to set up their own business, or at least to be able to make some money from that sort of repertoire of skills and things that you have on offer. So yeah, that's kind of where that came from. Excuse me. And it was up until COVID, it was very, very successful. I had over 6,000 women, not all on the course, but 6,000 women in my kind of, it wasn't
Hmm.
like a Facebook group, but it was similar to that.
Hmm. Oh,
Yeah.
that's beautiful. And do you have any website or
Yes,
Facebook
so it would
page?
be, yes, for the website, it would be www.sassyandsuccessfulafter60.com.
Sassy and successful after 60.com.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, beautiful. And in social media as that too, or as Ali Miles?
Sorry, say again?
In Facebook and Instagram and all those, or
Yes. Yeah.
the
So
same
it's,
name?
yes, yes. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Or you can just,
okay.
I mean, for example, in Facebook, you just would look up Ali Miles-Jenkins. So I try to make it as familiar as I can and sort of friendly. So yeah. But the
Beautiful.
website's up obviously as well.
I get so identified with you because we have lives a little bit parallels at the ends of the 40s, the divorce. Then we changed careers in
Yes.
2017.
Yeah.
Um, I changed careers also. I used to work in security before.
Hmm.
I had a store of security, and then in 2017, I reinvent myself, and the company that I created, it's called like that, Reinvent
Yeah.
Yourself with Beatriz. And So it's really nice, and we are in our 60s, so
Mm,
it's very, and in different parts of the world, and you know that at the end of the day we're human beings.
mm,
We, even if we have completely different experiences and different parents and different parts of the world,
mm.
we live in the same planet, and we have more or less the same challenges. So
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
really nice to put it out there, so those that are listening to us, especially women over 50 and 60, can really relate, and those over 40 can be starting to prepare just to keep being yourself
Yeah.
as you
Exactly.
go
Yeah.
older. And if you're 20, just start being loyal to yourself. When
Yeah.
you're 17 or 18 or 20 is the first.
Mm, yes.
So,
I
well, we
think
can.
that's another issue entirely, isn't it? Because I think we always look back and think, oh, I wish I was 18, 20 now. But from what I read, certainly in the press over here, a lot of teenagers and sort of youngsters of that kind of generation, they're having quite a tough time themselves.
Exactly. So
Mm,
these advices and conversations are really, I think, enhance the life of everyone that listens. If you take one thing that will make your life better, we did our job, right? So,
hmm.
just to finish and to wrap, can you tell us one advice, one last thing, or something that you would like to say?
Um, one thing, it's so hard, isn't it, to pick the one.
Yes.
I
Yes.
think it's whatever, wherever you are in life, whatever you're doing, particularly when you're younger and you've got a lot of potential pressures. You know, we certainly in the UK, we hear that a lot of younger people are under so much pressure at the moment. I think it's about, sure, you know, talk to friends, talk to your parents and so on. But basically, even if you're just 18, 20, 21, 22, you're not quite sure what to do, you have to listen to your heart here, I think, more than anything else, because I believe that we are all, irrespective of our social background and so on, we are all final arbiters of our own destiny. And we have to steer that really. And I think that if you're younger, you know, wouldn't it be lovely for us to go back to our late 18s or early 20s now? What would we do differently? But I think it's one of the things would be to make sure that you're not overly influenced by anyone else, whether that's family, partners, academics. You've got to listen to yourself, because I think that finally tells you your compass in life rather than listening to others.
Wow. Listen to your heart. Yes,
Mm,
listen to your heart. That brings my father. My father, when I was a teenager, I was a very rebel teenager. He used to
hmm,
tell me, he managed me very well. He
mm,
used to tell me, you listen to others, but you do what your heart says.
mm,
So you can listen to all the opinions, but you do what, listen to your heart.
yeah,
That's your compass. Your heart is your
absolutely,
compass. Yes.
absolutely.
Yes, so that's so beautiful. Thank you very much, Ali.
It's my
Um,
pleasure.
it has been a wonderful conversation. And for all the audience, remember that this is allow yourself. So it's a space for you, make your space and allow yourself to rest, to listen, to, but mainly to be what you're meant to be. I
Absolutely.
say, just we are what we allow ourselves to be. So thank you very much and see
That's
you
all right.
next
Thank you for
time.
having me on your channel. Thank you so much, and stay in touch. Thank you. Bye bye.